appreciate it. Just one a correction. I have changed law firms, so as you see on the second page of the PowerPoints, I have my own law firm now, Steeblish Buchanan Law, PLLC, located in Nashville and Atlanta, so with the appropriate email address and phone number there. So I wanted to point that out in case you need to follow up for some reason after the webinar is over. So I assume that everybody knows that these new regulations are scheduled to go into effect in about a month and a half, December 1st, 2016. We've been talking about these since July 2015 when the U.S. Department of Labor proposed the regulations. It took them an extensive amount of time to determine whether to go forward with the regulations or to change them, in that over 250,000 comments were submitted. So, and in August of this year, the final regulations were proposed or agreed to with the effective date of December 1st. So, before we actually talk about what is changing within the regulations for salaried exempt employees, we need to just have a refresher on exactly who is salary exempt, or also called white collar exemptions, because this is a perfect time to determine whether or not employees that you currently have listed as salary exempt in fact meet the exemption, even if they have the appropriate salary that is set forth in the new regulations. So the three basic white-collar exemptions are executive, administrative, and professional. And we also have one that covers many different areas but is referred to as highly compensated employees. So let's talk about the first one, that being executive. Compensated on a salary basis of at least $4.55 a week. That was the old number. As we see, when the new number comes up, it's going to be $913. The primary duty they have to have a primary duty of management of the enterprise, which the employee is employed at or of a customarily recognized department or subdivision thereof, customarily and regularly directs the work of two or more other employees, and has the authority to hire or fire or effectively, and this is very important because many people don't have the authority to hire and fire, but to effectively recommend the hiring, firing, advancement, promotion, or other change of status of other employees. So, again, regardless of when December 1st comes around and the salary is increased to $913, if you have been classifying an individual as an executive but does not meet either the second, third, or fourth criteria, then they're not going to meet the executive exemption even if they do make $913 or more a week. So now they may end up fitting within an administrative exemption or possibly professional exemption. So though these regulations did not change any of the duties test, the points 2, 3, and 4 of the executive, and the other points, non-salary points for the administrative or professional. Again, like I say, this is the time to look to make sure that your exempt employees in fact qualify for the exemption. Unfortunately, and I doubt, hopefully, any of the people that are attending the webinar here today think this, but I can tell you from my experience with clients over a number of years, I've run across a few clients who believe that as long as a employee is being paid a salary and the salary meets the salary exemption, the test that was in effect at the time, whether it be 455 now or 913 as of December 1, that in and of itself makes them salary exempt. I guess the worst case scenario was a client who believed their receptionist was had an administrative exemption, and I can't think of any circumstances where a receptionist is ever going to meet a exemption. And tried to convince the client that they should not be doing that, or they'd be misclassifying the employee. And we'll talk about the consequences of misclassification at the end of the webinar. The second one is, as I said, administrative. Again, you start with the compensation, currently $455. Will go up to $913. Their primary duty is performing office or non-manual work directly related to the management or general business operations of the employer or the employer's customers, and exercises discretion and independent judgment with respect to matters of significance. 2 points to cover here is, if the individual is performing manual work, they are not going to be eligible for the administrative salary exemption. Second, even if the individual has some discretion and independent judgment, those must be of matters of significance. Now, that can be somewhat, it's not well defined as exactly what is matters of significance, but in the case of the receptionist, the client argued that the receptionist decided where the phone call ought to be directed, who it ought to be directed to. That is not a matter of significance, and thus they did not have any discretion and independent judgment with respect to matters of significance. Again, just trying to use a real-life example of a problem that one client faced. Professional is probably a little easier to determine, again, with same compensation, currently $455, going up to $913. Primary duties, performance of work that requires knowledge of an advanced type in a field of science or learning customarily acquired by a prolonged course of specialized intellectual instruction, or requires invention, imagination, originality, or talent in a recognized field of artistic or creative endeavor. So there's really two types of professionals, more of the creative, artistic professional and more of the scientific professional. It's fairly rare for a client to misclassify someone as a professional. Most clients know a professional when they see them, and if they meet the compensation and the other tests, then they're going to meet the exemption for professional. Then the last one is the highly compensated. They're paid $100,000, at least $100,000, if the employee customarily and regularly performs any one or more of the exempt duties, responsibilities of executive, administrative, or professional. So this is sort of a catch-all. If for some reason they don't make enough per week because of the way their salary, the way their compensation is structured, but they do in fact make at least $100,000 in a year, And as we'll see, that's going up by about 33% in the new regulations. You don't normally see too many folks who fall under the highly compensated exemption, but it's out there.